Lisa sat at her kitchen table, holding a cup of coffee that had long gone cold. The morning sunlight streamed through the windows, but she felt no warmth. Just yesterday, after 15 years of marriage, her husband Mike had told her the words that shattered her world, leaving her for Rachel. Rachel. Just thinking about that name made Lisa's stomach turn. She worked with Mike at his law firm, a young paralegal who had joined the company 2 years ago. At first, Lisa had even liked her, thought she was sweet when she met her at the company Christmas party. How wrong she had been. Looking around their house now, Lisa could see all the signs she had missed. Mike had been staying later at work for the past year, claiming big cases needed his attention. He started going to the gym, bought new clothes, and was always checking his phone. The signs had been there, but Lisa hadn't wanted to see them. She remembered the day everything changed clearly. It was 3 months ago when she stopped by Mike's office to bring him lunch, something she used to do regularly. Through the glass walls of his office, she saw him and Rachel laughing together. There was something in the way they looked at each other, something that made Lisa's heart stop for a moment. But she had pushed the thought away, telling herself she was being silly. When she returned to work, she told herself that she was being silly. The next few weeks brought more clues. Secret phone calls, hidden text messages, and weekends spent at the office. Lisa started noticing how Mike no longer talked about his day at work, how he stopped asking about her day, how he seemed to live in his own world. Their daughter Emma, now 14, had noticed too. "Dad seems different," she had said one evening while they were making dinner. "He barely talks to us anymore." Lisa had made excuses then, saying Dad was just busy with work. Now she wondered how their family falling apart would affect Emma. The confrontation happened on a quiet Sunday evening. Emma was at a friend's house for a sleepover, and Lisa decided it was time to face the truth. She had found a receipt for an expensive restaurant in Mike's jacket, a place they had never been to together. "Are you seeing someone else?" she had asked directly, her voice shaking despite her attempts to stay strong. Mike's face changed, showing guilt before he could hide it. "I didn't plan for this to happen," he said, not meeting her eyes. "Rachel and I, we just connected. She understands me in a way." He trailed off, perhaps realizing how hurtful his words were. "In a way I don't," Lisa finished for him, anger finally breaking through her sadness. "I've been your wife for 15 years, Mike. I've supported your career, raised our daughter, built this life with you. How can you throw all of that away?" But Mike had made his choice. He told her about his plans to move out, how he and Rachel had already found an apartment together. He had thought everything through, planned his new life while pretending nothing was wrong in his current one. The next few days passed in a blur. Lisa had to tell Emma, which was the hardest conversation of her life. Her daughter had cried, screamed, and finally locked herself in her room, refusing to talk to either parent. Mike moved out that weekend, taking only his personal belongings and leaving behind the family photos and memories they had built together. The house felt empty without him, even though Lisa realized he hadn't really been present for months. She found herself walking through rooms at night, remembering happier times. Their first Christmas here, Emma's birthday parties, quiet evenings watching TV together. Each memory now felt tainted by his betrayal. Lisa's sister Jenny became her rock during this time. She moved in temporarily, helping Lisa navigate the practical aspects of separation, lawyers, bank accounts, telling family and friends. Jenny was there to hold her when the tears came, usually late at night when Emma was asleep. "You're stronger than you know," Jenny would tell her. "He's the one who lost something precious, not you." Slowly, very slowly, Lisa started to believe those words. The hardest part was watching Emma struggle with the changes. Her grades started slipping, and she became withdrawn. The school counselor suggested therapy, and Lisa agreed immediately. She would do anything to help her daughter through this, even as she struggled to help herself. Weeks turned into months. Lisa threw herself into her work as a high school teacher, grateful for the distraction. Her students' energy and optimism helped her remember that life goes on, even when it feels like your world has stopped. She started noticing small changes in herself. She began making decisions without wondering what Mike would think. She rearranged the furniture, painted the kitchen the bright yellow she had always wanted, started taking evening art classes, something Mike had always dismissed as a waste of time. Emma started healing too. The first time Lisa saw Mike and Rachel together at Emma's school event, her heart felt like it would break all over again. Rachel was everything Lisa wasn't. Younger, stylishly dressed, carefree. But as she watched them, Lisa realized something important. She didn't want to be Rachel. She didn't want to be the kind of woman who would help break up a family. 6 months after Mike left, Lisa's friend Carol convinced her to join a local book club. There she met other women who had gone through similar experiences. Their stories of survival and renewal gave her hope. One woman, Patricia, had been divorced for 5 years and was now happily remarried. "The end of a marriage isn't the end of your story," Patricia told her. "It's just the end of a chapter." Lisa started writing in a journal, pouring out her feelings about Mike's betrayal and her fears for the future. Writing helped her process her emotions and start imagining a life without him. She wrote about her anger, her sadness, but also about her dreams. Dreams she had put aside during her marriage. 1 year after Mike's confession, Lisa sat in her bright yellow kitchen, drinking coffee and reading the morning paper. Emma was in the living room, practicing her guitar, a new hobby she had taken up in therapy as a way to express her emotions. The house felt different now, no longer empty but full of new possibilities. That morning, Lisa had received the final divorce papers. As she signed them, she felt a mix of sadness and relief. The sadness was for the end of something that had once been beautiful, for the death of dreams she had shared with Mike. But the relief was for herself, for the freedom to be who she wanted to be, for the chance to start again. She thought about Mike and Rachel, now living together in their modern apartment downtown. Sometimes she still felt a pang when she thought about them, but it was duller now, more distant. She had learned that you can't make someone choose you, and more importantly, that you shouldn't want to. Emma was doing better too. She still spent weekends with her father, but she had made her feelings clear to both parents. "I love you, Dad," she had told Mike, "but what you did was wrong." Lisa was proud of her daughter's honesty and strength. Looking out at her garden, where spring flowers were starting to bloom, Lisa thought about the woman she had become. The pain of Mike choosing another woman had nearly broken her, but it had also forced her to choose herself. She had learned to stand on her own, to trust her judgment, to believe in her worth. Her phone buzzed with a message from her art class friend David, asking if she'd like to get coffee after next week's class. Lisa smiled, feeling a flutter of excitement she hadn't experienced in years. She wasn't ready for a relationship yet, but she was ready to enjoy simple pleasures like coffee with a friend who made her laugh. The doorbell rang, and Emma ran to answer it. It was Jenny, bringing supplies for their weekly Sunday dinner, a new tradition they had started after Mike left. As Lisa watched her sister and daughter laughing together in the kitchen, she realized that family comes in many forms, and love doesn't always look the way we expect it to. Yes, Mike had chosen another woman, but in doing so, he had forced Lisa to choose herself, to rediscover her strength, her passions, her ability to stand alone. She was no longer Mike's wife, but she was Emma's mother, Jenny's sister, a teacher, an artist, and a woman who had learned that being chosen by someone else isn't nearly as important as choosing yourself. Later that evening, as Lisa sat in her art class, mixing colors on her palette, she thought about how life was like painting. Sometimes you have to cover up old pictures to create something new and beautiful. She was still in the process of creating her new picture, but for the first time in a long time, she was excited to see what it would become.